OK, let's move on. Let's get more on our top story on the country's housing crisis. In an hour's time, the government will unveil its white paper on building new homes, but will it really be affordable? Well, in 2016, the average price paid by a first-time buyer was £205,170, the highest on record. In London, the average price for first-time buyers has risen by 81% since 2009, reaching £402,692. That's also the highest on record. Statistics released by Halifax reveal that last year about 28% of all first-time buyers with a mortgage opted for a 30 to 35-year term, which means they could still be paying it off in their 60s and 70s. The average age now for a first-time buyer is 30, but there are regional variations. In some boroughs in London and just outside of it, the average age is 34.
Our housing market isn't working, and we're admitting that today it's broken. It's the biggest barrier to social progress in Britain today. Now, some people, I think, are quite right to be sceptical. They can say, well, yes, we have heard this before, and they can point to successive governments over 30 years that haven't done enough. What's different is, first of all, look at our track record. Since 2010, we've seen a two-thirds increase in new builds in this country. It's not enough, but it's in the right direction. Number two, we've seen a big increase in the housing capital budget from the government, a doubling over this parliament. And then thirdly is this white paper. Anyone who takes a look at this white paper today will see the government is dead serious. These are bold reforms, and we're getting real on housing.
Well, part of the government's white paper plans include possible incentives to help pensioners living in large family homes to downsize. Should they move to free up homes for couples and families, or do they deserve to stay where they are? Let's discuss that further. Joining us from Stoke-on-Trent is Janet Smallwood, who is the chairwoman of the North Staff's Pensioners Convention. And live in central London is Ben Harris-Quinney, who is the chairman of the Bow Group think tank. Welcome to you both. If we turn to you first of all, Janet, do you think that you should have to downsize so that younger people can get a foot on the housing ladder?
Well, I think this is a short-term fix for a long-term problem. What should be happening is there should be more social housing built. That would work longer term, but I think what they're offering isn't really what it should be. We have to put serious thought into that before anybody accepts it. If the council, if the local authority owns we're talking about, the council and the local authority haven't got the properties, smaller properties to offer to people, if it's cash incentives to those that own their own homes to move out and downsize, then downsizing could bring a bigger expense to those people. I just don't see the sense in what is taking place at the moment.
And do you see any sense to this at all?
Well, I think the
Me
question
personally.
here is wrong. No one is saying that elderly people have to leave larger homes. In fact, what this policy actually attempts to do is give elderly people more choice and help them if they want to downsize, rather than forcing them to do so. And in my constituency, in North Hertfordshire, the problem is that there are a lot of elderly people living in 4, 5, sometimes 6-bedroom houses. They want to downsize, but there just aren't the 1 and 2 bedroom houses available in the area. And that's why I think it's refreshing that Sajid Javid has finally acknowledged that we are facing a housing crisis. The housing market is broken, and we do urgently, as a policy priority, need to build new homes. But no one at all is saying that elderly people have to do anything. It's about what they want to do, and it's about helping them make the transition if that is the choice that they want to make.
Janet, do you object in principle to being even asked as to whether you would potentially downsize? I mean, lots of people in your position, they've worked all their lives to be in the property that they're in. Do you think it's an insult to even suggest that they move out?
Well, if we're considering being offered a choice or being told, there's a vast difference. If I was offered a choice and there was another property available to me that was suitable to me, I would do that. I have done that. What I wouldn't be prepared to do if I owned a property would be to sell that property and then put myself in a position where I would then need extra cash, probably more that's been on offer to buy a newer, maybe a one-bedroom bungalow or a new flat. That would be far more expensive. And what I usually find is that the people that come up with these ideas are people, really, who don't have a clue what happens at the lower end of the scale. They don't realise that putting people in that position could really make people, really, they'd need to pay out more money. And that's not acceptable.
Ben Harris, what do you see as a solution? What is the solution to this problem?
Well, I mean, put simply, we need to build more homes. As I say, it's very refreshing to see Sajid Javid saying, yes, there's a market failure here, yes, there's a housing crisis, and yes, we're going to be taking it very seriously. But I think another point that we do need to acknowledge, and the Bow Group has done a lot of work on this, is asking the question, why is the housing market broken? And a big reason that the housing market is broken is a lot of foreign companies and overseas property owners have bought properties predominantly in the southeast and in London purely as an investment, purely as a bank for their money, because they know that by and large property in London rises by about 10% a year, so they stick the money in that, leave the property empty, and just use it as a safe investment.
But how do you stop that? How do you stop people investing in the capital? If they're bringing money to the capital, it's up to them what they do with their property. We don't want them not to buy, do we?
It is, but when you have Sajid Javid saying there is market failure, that means the government needs to address the issue that because of the amount of foreign direct investment, obviously broadly foreign direct investment is a good thing, but it's not a good thing if it means that most Londoners can't afford a home. And that's really where the Conservative Party is going to have a difficult question. Because on the one hand, you've got this idea that, yes, leave the free market completely open to do its thing. But on the other hand, you've got what Margaret Thatcher coined as the aspiration of a home-owning democracy. And I think this government white paper is good in most areas. But unfortunately, what it does is it departs from the idea that everyone should be able to, if they work hard, buy a home and own their own home. That's what we need to return to, because that's what gives people the best stake in society, the best chance at prosperity. And I think if you've got loads and loads of millionaires ploughing money into London, stopping your average Londoner being able to buy their own home, then I think we've got a big problem that needs to be addressed, and I would like to see the government address it.
Janet, I'm reliably informed that one of your nicknames is the Rottweiler. You're the chairwoman of the North South Pensioners Convention.
Yeah, that's right.
What are the concerns for your members? What are they saying? What is the real problem, and what would they like to see done?
Well, can I just say at this point, I disagree with some that's just been said. Let's go back to when Margaret Thatcher was in power. They started to sell off in this right to buy council properties. They got rid of a lot of social housing. They've not replaced that social housing. We're now starting to see the cracks. In fact, I think it's gone further than seeing the cracks. I think we're at breaking point. Now, it's all right to talk about central London and the more affluent areas, but I'm talking about Stoke-on-Trent. We haven't got the properties for these people. The local authorities haven't got the properties for people to downsize. So I think many of the people that are talking about this are people that are well-heeled, have the money, and when we talk about getting on to the housing property ladder, well, let's face it, a lot of these properties are snapped up by those very people who are buying to let, absent landlords. What chance have younger people got? What chance have young families got? As I said at the beginning, and I still maintain that the answer to this is to build more social housing. The government sold off or made it legal to sell off social housing, and I think the government have now got to firmly put right where they went wrong and build more housing.
Okay.
We're in a dreadful situation. Of course, it's not fair if somebody's in a 4-bedroomed house, but if the local authority haven't got a property to offer, what are you going to do? Offer a cash incentive? That person then goes out there, maybe having to rent in the private sector at a far higher cost than they're renting with a local authority. It's not acceptable.
Janet,
let's think about the people who aren't in the money.
Janet, I'm afraid we have to leave it there, but I do see how you've earned the nickname. Thank you very much for joining us, Janet Smallwood, a.k.a. the Rottweiler.
Thank you.
And Ben Harris, good to speak to you both. Thank you.